say that to somebody. I didn't hear anybody say that.
And I can take it.
So I need to tell you guys something. That the first time I saw No Doubt, one of my favorite bands in history, I saw them when they were barely on the radio and they were an opening act, and I guess the person next to me wasn't paying attention to the singer when she was singing Gwen Stefani, so she beamed him as hard as she could with a water bottle and missed, and I got hit in the face with a water bottle. First time I saw No Doubt. I love that show. That was so punk. I thought it was really good. It took all night for me to figure out, why did I get hit with a full water bottle, mind you. Her water bottle, she just threw it and missed the person she was aiming at. And I got whacked in the face with a water bottle. Now, there was a California punk band back in the day called Suburban Lawns. One person other than me has probably heard of them, but the singer ended the career of Suburban Lawns because someone in the audience wasn't paying attention to her, and she threw her mic stand at them.
Oh,
and that person had to be like taken out on a stretcher. I go to play Phoenix for the very first time at a venue called Fiddler's Dream, and there's someone crocheting in the audience. I'm going here, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were going to do it tonight. I was just going to bring it up anyway. There was someone crocheting in the audience, and I walked up to them and I said, "Do you plan to do that while I'm singing?" And she said, "You betcha, that's what I do. I come here and crochet. Is this going to be a problem?" And I said, "Not if I can't see you." Now I have to say something. And I'm going to say this the only way I can say it, and that is just from the bottom of my black little heart. I would like to start with, I think I'm really fucking interesting. But what I'm going to say instead is, I would not go to a concert if I didn't want to see the band. So I'm going to go see my new favorite band, Alabama Shakes, in August, and I'm not gonna look up my phone, and I'm not gonna do anything. I'm gonna watch them. I got chills. I'm so excited. Now, I don't know. Maybe if I went and saw them every week, maybe I'd check messages if I felt a vibrate in my pocket or something. I wouldn't.
I would.
But but you wouldn't for them. But Joey, did you step in that?
I have never checked my phone. Ever.
This is leading up to the crocheting thing.
I was listening.
So okay, you're right.
Because I'm always on my phone.
So I just want to say that I'm not sure how I feel about all the other activity in the room. I got to be honest. I purposely started my own venue to get out of the coffee houses for this very reason. That I sang a Lone Justice song tonight, and those of you who know my love affair with Maria McKee, I wouldn't even blink. And I bet if I got to see Maria every single week in church in LA, because she used to be a worship leader at the other church, other cool church, not the one I was a worship leader at, I probably would have gone every week and just sat there, with my eyes wide open, taking it all in. And speaking of church, if I'm not going to treat it like I'm watching a rock star, which we know we are, I would either focus on what was happening, or I would participate in what was happening, or I would quiet myself before the Lord in contemplation and meditation and prayer. So I did say beforehand that I understand the engaged thing. And anyone who knows me knows I am physically incapable of watching anything without doing something with my hands. Period. So as far as like TV goes, not concerts, by the way, not plays. But plays are a challenge. Anyone who's been to a play with me knows I have to pretty much sit on my hands, and it's hard for me to sit still. So I'm not judging, but I'm just going to say I'm not sure I'm comfortable with all the activity in the room. Because it says to me, Paisleys are better heard, not seen, or this is sufficient, or it says all kinds. Don't make faces at me, bitch. I'm being honest. I'm being honest. It doesn't matter what you guys think it says. I'm telling you how I really feel. It says something to me, and what concerns me is it speaks to a familiarity that makes me feel very bad. It says, I've seen Paisley. I've seen Paisley. He's talking about people he doesn't get to see every week. That makes me very sad, because when I've been able to see bands that I love all the time, like, you know, the bands back in LA, like X and the Go-Go's and stuff, and we went nightly to see them, and I was transfixed. Did I mention that I think I'm really fucking interesting? So, that's my honest feeling, is I understand, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, meaning I'm getting a little hurt in the butt about it. Okay, just so everybody knows. And a solution, people who seem to be making faces at me, would be to have asked me prior how I would feel about it. And that may have been the thing that might have made me feel better. Because I would have said, well, then what happens when you guys are crocheting and she's sending text messages? I'm serious. I'm serious. I know if I made Eileen talk, she'd say, everything he said times infinity. You know why? Because she's my biggest fan. She's the mommy I never had. And she heard a bunch of songs I haven't done in years in the way they were actually written or actually recorded for the very first time. So I believe transfixed, without me pumping my ego, you know what I'm saying? I just personally would not devote an hour or 2 hours of my life to anyone or anything if I were in any way, shape, or form bored. And I would certainly not want them to think in any way, shape, or form I was a little bored, or I just was so used to it that it wasn't special or unique anymore. That's just me. But just want to say that. But if someone were to come and ask me if it bugged me if they were playing constantly on their phone, I'd say, you know what the problem is? One person doing it, I get it. Like one person at the venue I was performing at doing it. What if the whole room did it? What if the entire time I was singing my heart out, everybody's heads were down, or everybody's eyes were elsewhere? Why do I bother doing my hair? I'm serious. I'm serious. But then if we want to look at it as church, I'd be very curious, honestly, if I have ever seen in church people sitting within vision of the minister or the worship leader keeping their hands occupied. And I will tell you, no matter what the minister or worship leader says, they're thinking what I think. I know that. I know that. That's the truth. But we don't want people to be offended, and we want butts in the room, and we want people to love us and support us. So we're people pleasers. That's what ministry means in French. People pleasing. So the problem is, sooner or later you back yourself into a corner and you go, I have totally lost my backbone and my identity in what I'm doing in the worst possible way. Now that having been said, tonight, you know, like how movies have a movie within a movie, like it's a movie about people making a movie. I'm doing a sermon within a sermon, and I haven't started my sermon yet, but I know I'm taking a long time to get to it, so I'm going to go really short on the sermon within a sermon, because I have other announcements to make that I need to remember to make, but it's the time of month where I'm supposed to make these announcements. First off, I'm trying to make all the food in the kitchen vegan, and I'm not going to be like creepy Nazi about it, but please don't bring dead things on purpose. But, you know, try to look at the ingredients, see if there's eggs or cheese or milk in them, and get something else if you could. If not, make sure I know, so we can let the few vegans, which are becoming more and more, it seems, know what there is. But I'm also saying, since I'm complaining, an established church, meaning one that has a building and a sign and police in the parking lot conducting traffic, and beautiful chairs and great air conditioning and state-of-the-art multimedia worship, they have a home base of some sort. They have a home base. They're a corporation of some sort. And the minister is paid out of that. A salary. A salary they like, or they wouldn't take the job, like any other job. And it usually, even in the smaller churches, like, you know, the smaller, more independent seeming churches like Calvary Chapels or the Vineyards and things like that, it usually comes with housing, a car, a per diem, and a clothing allowance. So most churches provide this in their package when they hire their ministers. The days of, first off, it's always been the non-denominational churches that had ministers that worked other jobs and still tried to do church in the schools and stuff like that. But those groups either faded away or they became so established they were able to offer the ministers salaries and, very important, housing and transportation and clothing. So maybe their salaries weren't that much, but they were coming with a house and a car and nice suits. And I remember Jack Hayford, who was my minister when I started, and he was one of the most famous ministers in the world at the time. He said at the time he's never earned a salary more than $14,000 a year. From his ministry of 10,000 people. Well, I guess, in all fairness, if you don't pay for your house and all the electricity and the water, and your car or your gas, and you get your suits, your gorgeous suits made for free, and you get a per diem to cover all your food costs, and $14,000 is a lot of money on top of that. That's what we would call a savings account. Once all your bills are paid, you get $14,000 a year. And this is something I've come up against a lot in my ministry is, why do I expect people to give me money? Why do I expect people to give me so much money? And why does it fall on some people to give me so much more money than others? Well, the problem simply is that there's no backing corporation, so it's totally dependent on the people who benefit from my ministry. And the reality is how much does it cost a month for one person to live? Just to pay for the pastor of the church. How much would that cost? A small church. You know, do the math. Do the math. And I've said all along that if everybody did something, it would cover something else. I figured it out that based on the number of people that come through the kitchen, if everybody put $5 in the tip jar every single time, $20 a month, not $1 million, not as much as the Alabama Shakes tickets in the nosebleeds are costing. Not as much as a trip to the movies for 2 people a month. It would cover my car payment. My gosh, that minister just said, pay for my car. That minister never said pay for my car. That is a fact before God. That minister got stuck with the car payment. It's a lot different than saying, I want a car, buy it for me. But the truth is that's not a whole lot to consider. And my car payment's low, my house payments are low, my living expenses are really, really low. I mean, I live like a monk. I mean, that's the truth. I mean, anyone who knows exactly what my day-to-day life knows, I'm hardly exaggerating. I'm hardly exaggerating. So I have begun to request that there would be an invisible suggested donation for these events at the kitchen of a minimum of $100 per person. But if you can't do that, do 99. If you can't do that, do 98, 97, 96, all the way down to a penny. All the way down to a penny. I have a new addiction that only costs $0.25 a fix. There are Sriracha bubblegum in the machines at Walmart And of all the new things I've found, that's the one I love the most. Just a quarter. If there was a quarter in there, I'd run to Walmart tomorrow and get a gumball because someone loves me. But if for some reason you can't contribute, and this is going out into TV land, so everybody knows I know everyone's situation and everything, so don't take everything too personally tonight. But I'm asking people to bring something from their cupboard, a canned something, other, something non-perishable. Like one thing, a couple things. Someone brought 2 cans of fruit salad tonight. Thank you very much. Because there are people that I minister to that don't have food or that run out of food. At least we can function church-like and give something to someone somehow. Or if I have a really bad week, I can invade the food bank and at least everybody took care of me that week. And that's very sad and pathetic sounding. It's also the truth. It's also the truth. I mean, I meet people all the time and they go, so do you have another job? And I go, no. They go, well, how do you get paid? And I go, I don't know, but if people don't donate, I don't eat, and I've been fat the whole time, so I must be okay. I must be okay. And in 1 Corinthians 9:11, you think I'd know this by heart by now. If we sowed spiritual things in you, is it too much if we reap material things from you? If we, the ministers, give you something to take into your real life of the things of God that you didn't have when you walked in, is it so much to expect that you leave something material so we can stay alive for another week and do it again next week? That's what Paul was saying. And that's my spiel. Now my sermon is simply this. Last night, wait, I gotta get into sermon mode. Last night, I got rid of DirecTV and I watch through Roku, and I have Netflix and Amazon, and someone's going to judge me. I'm getting these off other people's accounts, so it's free because someone loves me. I'm not paying for these services, and on the Roku, which if you don't know what it is, Roku is the middleman. So if you want to watch Netflix on your TV, you need a gizmo to attach to your TV that's wireless that they can run Netflix through. And the Roku is a company that makes this little stick that you stick into your TV, the Roku stick. And it comes with a remote. And when you turn it on and look at it, it has a list of channels that you can watch stuff on if you want, and all kinds of stuff, a search engine. But one of the things called is my feed. I've been a huge movie and TV fan my whole life. I love to look up who started it and who directed it, and I know so much about movies and TV and stuff. So to finally have somewhere to file where I can search what I want to watch one day and put it in a list. If you have Netflix or Amazon, you guys have like to-do lists or something where you file. So it's similar to that, but it's my feed on Roku. So since I've had the Roku, like 200 things in this list. And I've woken up and had these things disappear. There's nothing on my feed. I'm like, I took a lot of time to program all those over a period of time and a lot of research. So last night, it disappeared. Last night, it disappeared. And I looked at it and I went, I can't believe this. And the Holy Spirit said to me, just go to bed, it'll be fine tomorrow. And I was like, well, last time I completely panicked and I got online with them and took 4 hours out of my life, and then the next day got on the phone with them and pitched a fit, and they all came back on their own anyways. Tonight I'll listen to God. That was last night. So I went to bed trusting God that everything would be fine. And anyone who's had the experience of something not being as it should be on your phone or on your computer or on your TV or in your car radio knows that this stuff can really get stuck under your craw and make you crazy if you let it. I'm prone to letting it. So this morning when I got up, I checked it and it hadn't been fixed. It hadn't returned. So I said, you know, I didn't say this. I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, it's really only like 47 titles. You could probably make a list right now and remember all of them. All of them off the top of your head. Because most of them are, well, all of them now are either TV shows I watch regularly or TV things that have been on in the past, like Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I never watched, that were on this list. So I sat down and I remembered off the top of my head 41 of these things. And I felt the Holy Spirit say to me, that should be sufficient because the rest will come back to you. And you like programming, that kind of thing, you know, that you're doing something with your hands and killing time. You have all day Sunday where you're just going to be resting in the house waiting for the kitchen to happen. This won't really bother you at all. You're not going to miss a thing. How many times they say now the Holy Spirit said, we got it all covered, Pace? But then it got into my head, well, damn it, I'm sick of this happening. And I want to know technically how to retrieve these titles. So I'm going to get online with the Roku people, and I'm just going to give it 5 minutes. And if it doesn't get resolved in 5 minutes, I'll do what God said. Well, Sean's laughing because I called him practically in tears because it had been 4 hours of this. And by the time the tech person had worked with me, the entire system died. There was no Roku ever to be had in my house again. My internet then, I don't want to tell you next, because it just, what transpired. So I'm online with them, I'm running from where my computer is to my TV to do one thing, running back, doing it. I take 1 day off from doing my 10,000 steps and I got 40,000 steps in 4 hours, easily. And finally, like an idiot, I agreed to resetting the thing. Then it totally froze up, it wouldn't reset, it wouldn't accept me as a customer, it wouldn't accept the codes, it wouldn't accept anything. And then they said, it must be a problem in your computer, and we need to now remove things off your computer. But fortunately, when we got to that point, the internet in my home died. Now, judge me all you want about not being able to watch TV. I know you won't because you made a very good point when we talked about this. You said, sometimes that's all you have. And if that goes out, you panic a little because you forget you can actually read a book. Can't go for a walk, can you? A little hot right now. I mean, seriously, what are you going to do all day when you set aside the whole day to do nothing, to rest, and then that happens? So my entire internet went out. And yes, this is the sermon. My entire internet went out. And I turned to God and I said, I sure wish you made me listen to you better. And he said, enjoy the ride. So I called the internet company, and as soon as it started dialing, my internet came back on. Then I ran across the house, reset the Roku, and then when I ran into the room to see how it was doing, my internet went out. Then I called the internet company, and as soon as it started dialing, the internet came back on. That only happened 6 times or so. Okay? I made over 100 trips back and forth today. I started this at 8:30, 9 o'clock this morning. I spent over 4.5 hours. I didn't eat, I didn't do anything. My animals thought I was nuts. And I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And finally I called the internet company. The internet was still down. I did that whole thing you do where you go through their whole automated system and it feels like it takes 3 years. And when the tech person came on, all I heard was, ah! This loud buzzing, drowning out the tech person. I said, that's it. I'm done. I will never watch TV again. I'll never have internet again. I didn't listen to God. I'm done. Because he told me you can program the damn shows and watch your damn shows and have an easy day. And I said, I respectfully disagree. So right when that snapping actually happened, my phone rang and it was my daughter. And I said, hey, how's it going? I didn't even want to answer. I was sweaty and miserable and fighting back tears. And my phone, and by the way, what happens to your cell phone when you're hot and sweaty doing that and everything freezes up? I deleted the camera on my phone 16 times and thought to get it back. And then I can't tell you how bad this got. It hadn't even started yet. Hadn't even started. Because I hadn't gotten the call from my daughter. Do you want to stop and start that at this point? Okay. And I heard the phrase in her voice and said, is this really going to be bad? And she said, well, it's not good. And I was like, oh my God. This is the one that God tried to keep me together for. Dad, I'm house sitting for my cousin, and while I was asleep, her cat urinated on my laptop and destroyed it. And I need a computer for school. And I went, it's really good to hear from you. I have a favor. Could you just lose my number? I was like, whoa, a real problem. A real problem. Not what I was dealing with, a real problem. I sat there and I went, well, I really hear you, and we talked about all the possible solutions, and she had to go to Best Buy, and we had to do this, we had to do that. Prognosis is horrible. Do you know that they don't even check computers if they have urine on them because of sanitary reasons? Even if it's cat urine, because we all love our cats and we don't mind if they pee every once in a while. No, it's not like that. Not like that. So, by the third or fourth phone call with my kid, I got off the phone and I just sat down and cried. I said, there we go. I am now reduced to tears. I've lost control of everything in my house and the day is young. So maybe by the time there's people here, the AC could die. You know what I mean? So I have nothing to do, nothing I can do for my daughter. Said the guy who said, thank you for bringing fruit. It may be the only food I eat all week. So it's like, I just broke down. I just broke down. And you know it's bad when the dog comes running and smushes up against you and looks up at you and it's like, you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay. And you know it's really bad when the cat's like, I told you so. So I totally broke down and I was like, if only I had just left the TV alone. The only bad thing that would have happened today would have been that phone call. But I'm pretty good with problems with the kids. I understand it's their problem first, then mine. That I can remain kind of calm unless I have nothing left in me to deal with stuff. You know, 4 hours with Roku. So,